In this short video, I'm going to lead you through a brief overview of the summative assessment process. The further detail will be available in other videos, and if you look through the list of ones that are hosted on the UCL website, you will be able to pick and choose the ones that you have a further interest in. The assessment is now a summative assessment, and this is how summative assessment works. I'm sure that I'm talking to you about something you already know, but during your program, you will be having formative assessments which will guide your learning and guide the program in some of its aspects. They will lead you to the summative assessment, and the summative assessment, of course, is the sum of what you have learned during your program. What you'll have to do is to read and respond to a case study, which is going to be at least 2,500 words, sometimes 4,000 words because of the number of words in tables and so on. They're different lengths of responses, depending on whether you are taking a specialist or a leadership summative assessment. Specialists are NPQLT, leading teaching, LBC, leading behaviour and culture, leading teacher development, LL, leading literacy. The leadership are EY, early years, SL, senior leadership, H, headship, EL, executive leadership. For the specialist, it's a 1,500 word response, which I think you'll probably find a bit tight. It's very difficult to write everything you want in such a small number of words, and you will be able to write them quite quickly. Leadership, you've got a few more words to play with, 2,500. There's going to be one assessment window for each cohort. So if you are, for example, in cohort 1, you will have one assessment window. You won't have a choice. You will be told the dates for that assessment window, and it will last 8 days. If you fail, have one further chance, which will be in another assessment window. And there is some element of choice in that if you are unable to attend the assessment window for the following cohort, you can go for a different one. But it's better to go quicker than it is later. Summative assessment is different for every cohort. Right? So the summative assessment for cohort 1 will be entirely different to the summative assessment for cohort 2. So although you can look at the summative assessments, will be the same system, the same process from previous cohorts or from the exemplars that are provided, the one that you will have is not predictable, hasn't been shared anywhere, it's kept under tight security, and it will be different. You'll get your results back 3 months after the window is opened, and the formative assessments that you've made, hopefully, as I already say, will lead you to giving a good response to the summative assessment questions. The assessment is outsourced by UCL to NPQ Online. So any questions, first of all, should go to UCL. They're going to be the initial admin questions, really. Any that UCL can't answer, they will direct to NPQ Online as appropriate. There's a dedicated email address, and you will get that dedicated address when the information comes to you for logins, etc. Please note that NPQ Online can't deal with aspects of the programme leading up to assessment, but will be able to deal with aspects of the assessment that UCL won't be able to. Now, UCL's summative assessments are different from those of other lead providers. So if you have a colleague who is following an NPQ with a different lead provider and they're on the same programme, not only will their programme be different, but their summative assessment will be different. So you won't be able to compare. So NPQ Online have designed the system for UCL, and that has been approved by the DFE. So the summative assessment is designed to test, and this is very important because it needs to be evidenced within your summative assessment submission that you write. First of all, you have to evidence the learning that you have made during your programme. So from your programme, you might have made the learning in your own school by taking aspects of the programme and trying them out. And you might also need to write about or think about writing about how your learning during the programme, what you've tried out, has developed your own leadership. Secondly, your reading, understanding and direct response to the issue in the case study. So you must reference the case study in your summative assessment submission, and it must be relevant. So therefore, it has to be realistic, I suppose, but it has to be relevant to the case study, it has to be appropriate. The one issue that you might feel a bit nervous about, I suppose, is that there is only one case study for your cohort, and yet on your cohort you have primary, secondary, special, alternative, SEN, etc. So what we've found in the trials is that that makes little difference. It may take you a bit longer if the setting is not one that you're familiar with, but your responses, we found in trials, make no difference to the marks. So please take that as a measure of the confidence we have in the process and your ability to write about leadership, which is pretty much the same across all settings. You must use your own experience and your own learning to respond to the issues which are set out, and you must refer to the taught elements of your programme. You can't write generically. Very early on in the trials, we found that if people wrote generically, didn't refer to the case study, it was in the early versions possible. We now have an adjustment which looks at, it's called JAR, because it's about whether it's justified, about whether it's realistic, and whether you have applied your learning, so JAR. So these are the elements which you must include. Timings are this 3-month window, begins on the first day of the participant 8 calendar day assessment window. So you have an 8 calendar day assessment window, which starts at midday, and that is midday in the UK. So if you're an international participant, it could be a rather different time for you. But midday in the UK or in England means that there will be people in the office if there is a problem, particularly when it comes to uploading. We would strongly recommend that you upload your submission at least 24 hours before the cut-off date, just in case you do have problems, such as you've got all your information at school and the system goes down, which is one of the things that has happened to some participants in the past. So the assessment is going to take 3 weeks, an internal moderation 1 week, the external moderation 6 weeks, and there's 3 days to return it to you, not including weekends. And there's some admin time, probably around 5 days within that. The appeals will be dealt with, any appeals will be dealt with outside of the 3-month window. So after the window has finished, appeals will be dealt with. Because of course you won't know that you're going to appeal until the 3-month window is closed. So that's really to reassure you that if you do need to appeal, that that will make no difference. It is a possibility that you will be able to do that afterwards. Already mentioned fails, and the admin will be completed prior to the window opening. So that's not part of the window. The process is that UCL will notify NPQ online of the list of participants who have met the 90% requirement, engagement requirement. You cannot move to summative assessment unless you have. Then you'll have a unique upload site created for you. The assessment window, as I say, starts at 12 noon. And you will download the case study, the submission template, and the instructions. You will already have at that point the relevant NPQ framework, which you'll have already, and the participant assessment guidance. At the end of the 8-day window, you upload your completed submission template. We're estimating that you can complete the submission, although you have 8 days. I would say if you're really, really quick, you could probably do it in 4 or 5 hours, but you may want to take longer, reflect on it over time, and make full use of the days. As I say, if you've got any other interest in finding out more, then have a look at some of the other videos that are available to you.